pie. The denominator of the whole pie was 5. The numerator of my part was 3, as 3/5 of the pie was for me. My mom made the apple pie out of Granny Smith. She asked me if I liked it. I said, I plead the fifth. The denominator is the whole, and fractions always come to be whole. On a telephone pole. The denominator 3 was the group as a whole. The numerator 2, out of the thirds, described the 2/3 that were bluebirds. Described how many were blue, and something fell on my head. It was bird poop.
Right, we're going to stop there. I just thought that might be a bit more of an exciting way to start our lesson. Okay, right. So, fractions again today. Date is the 19th of January. We're whizzing through quite nicely, January. Hopefully we'll whiz through the first couple of months of this year nice and quickly. Right, okay, so we're going to start off with an arithmetic quiz or quick questions just to get us going today. So you need to read this first question yourself. I'll let you read it. And write down your answer. 3, 2, 1. You should have had 2, 6, 2, 6. Okay, question 7 or question 2. Which fraction has the smallest value? So look at those fractions, decide which one's the smallest. Write it down. 3, 2, 1, 0. You should have had 11/20, because as we know, if we cut our cake or whatever, we should stop talking about cake, shouldn't we? What else can we have? Something healthy. I actually can't think of anything healthy right now. So if we cut something, anything, into 20 parts, the parts are going to be smaller than if we cut the same thing into 12 parts, which means that 11/20 is the smallest. Okay, 6/16 is, and we have to fill in this blank, is it less than, the same as, equal to, or more than 10/16? Have a go, write it down. 3, 2, 1. I'm speeding up, we've got less time now. Less than. I know that if I said to Rowan, right, you can take 6/16 of the pizza, and I said to Toby, you can take 10/16 of the pizza, I know that there'd be arguments in my house, because it means that Rowan obviously gets a smaller amount or less pieces than Toby. Probably the same in your house. Okay, last question then. A pizza is cut into 18 slices of equal size. Scott eats 5 slices and Joe eats 2 slices more than Scott. How much of the pizza is eaten in total? And there's your answers. 12/18, 7, 12, or 7/18. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, here's your answer. 12/18. Okay, well done. Right, let's have a look at today's lesson then. So on to lesson 16. So our in focus task today. Lulu bought 8 2/3 of a litre bottles of fruit punch. How much fruit punch did she buy? She also bought 8 pies for a party. 2/3 of them were eaten. How many pies were eaten? Well, we're going to split this up into 2 parts. So that's what I want you to do to start off with, because actually there's 2 different things here for us to think about. So just start with, Lulu bought 8 2/3 of a litre bottles of fruit punch. How much fruit punch did she buy? So pause the video and have a crack at that now. Right, well done. Now, if you've struggled with that, you may want to, well, you will want to have a look at this and just go through this together with us. So let's have a look. Lulu bought 8 2/3 of a litre bottles of fruit punch. How much fruit punch did she buy? So you'll see here what I've done is I've drawn myself a number line and I've split each of my whole into 3 parts, into thirds. So this would be 1 whole litre, so 1 bottle, a full bottle, and then I've split it into thirds because it says 2/3 of a litre bottles of fruit punch. So each of these is the 8 bottles which are 2/3 full. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put these onto my number line. So if I've just got one of those 2/3 of a litre bottles, I've only got 2/3 of 1 litre. But now I'm going to say, well, how about if I add my second bottle? So another 2/3. So now I've got 2 lots of 2/3. I've got 4/3. So you can see that it comes up to 1, 2, 3, 4. If each of these are thirds, it comes up to 4/3 there. But when we look at it as a mixed number, because that would be an improper fraction, 4/3, 4 is larger than 3, the numerator is larger than the denominator. We can also, drawing it out like this, look at it as a mixed number because we can see that it's 1 whole and 1/3. So I'm going to keep going. If I add, that's 3 bottles with 2/3 of a litre, that's 4/3 of a litre, sorry, 4 2/3 of a litre, that's 5, 6, 7, and 8. So this is my 8 lots of 2/3, which it says here, 8 2/3 of a litre, 8 lots of 2/3 of a litre. And you can see that it actually is 5 whole bottles and 1/3. So 5 and 1/3. And if we look at it as in an improper fraction, what we're going to do is we're just going to count along here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So it's 16/3 or 5 and 1/3. If we look at that as we were doing yesterday, 2/3 times 8, we just multiply the numerators together to get our new numerator. The denominator stays the same. Okay, hopefully you remember that from yesterday and you're okay with that one. Let's have a look at the second part of the In Focus question then. It says she also bought 8 pies for a party. 2/3 of them were eaten. How many pies were eaten? So I've drawn here my 8 pies, and on each of them, only 2/3 were eaten, which I think is a bit wasteful, really, don't you? I think we should have said to people, can you finish off a pie before you move on to the next one? But hey, that's just me, maybe. So she bought 8 pies for a party, 2/3 of them were eaten. How many pies were eaten? So we want to look at how many total pies were eaten. Okay, so there's ways that we can do this by looking at it visually, and there's obviously a way we can do this by looking at it by calculating. So let's just start off by looking at it visually. Now I've drawn these pies out, 2/3 of a litre, but if I, sorry, 2/3 of each pie. But if I were to then say, okay, well, what I want to do is figure out how many pies in total, what I need to do is I take my first 2/3, but I've got 1/3 missing here. So I'm going to take that from my next pie. Now, it won't quite fit because I haven't drawn it perfectly, but I've made a new pie now, okay? So then I would do the same. Take this one, and then I take 2 from here. So let's ungroup that quickly. Has it worked? Yeah, okay. So I need those 2 pieces. Swivel it round so that it fits in, sort of. Okay, so I've got, out of the 3 2/3 of eaten pies, I can make 2 whole pies have been eaten. And if I worked all the way through, I would be able to say that it is this. This is our calculation. So I've got 2/3, excuse my writing on the whiteboard, it's pretty tricky, multiplied by 8. Some of you might be spotting something or might have already spotted it. My third stays the same. I'm not going to change my denominator. 2 times 8 is 16. So I've actually got 16/3, which equals 5 whole and 1/3. Exactly the same as the last one. Because I know that 3 multiplied by 5 makes 15. So that's my 5 whole. And then 15, I need 1 more to make 16. So that's my 1/3. So actually the answer to both of these was exactly the same. Okay, let's have a go at doing some together really quickly. Just if you want to have a practice, if you're feeling confident, you can obviously move on. but stick with me if you want to practice these. So 1/6 multiplied by 12. Now we're looking at larger numbers now. So 1/6 multiplied by 12, same thing. I'm going to make sure that I've got my denominator as 6, and I'm simply going to do 1 multiplied by 12 is 12. And then I look and say, how many 6s are there in 12? 2 lots of 6 make 12, so it's equal to 2 whole, and no 6 left over. Okay, let's do the same here. Now, before we do this, have a little look. This is 1/6 multiplied by 12. This is 1/6 multiplied by 13. So if I came across something like this, I might actually say, well, do I need to calculate this if I've already done this? Now I know that this is one more lot of 6s, so one more 6. So if I knew that 12 lots of 6 was 12 over 6, then I know that actually this one is going to be 13 over 6, which is equal to 2 plus 1/6, because I've added a 6 to this. So 2 becomes 2 and 1/6. So use those things rather than always going back to reworking it out. Sometimes you might find that actually you're better off looking at what you've already done, because it might build on what you've already done. And that's what often happens, isn't it, in our Maths No Problem. So today then you're going to be doing your guided practice, which is working through, it starts off with looking at unit fractions, and then it moves on to non-unit fractions. Only one page today, on page 277, and then your worksheet is 2 pages today, a little bit longer, and you've got a little word problem here. I just want to quickly explain this because I know sometimes these are quite tricky to understand. So essentially, like we always say in class, if you don't follow this layout, it really doesn't matter. And actually, you might want to just skip doing all these boxes and just show us. So for this one here, 10 multiplied by 3/5, you're going to show us it as an improper fraction and a mixed number, okay? And that's all we want you to do. So if these boxes confuse you, forget those boxes, because I find them a bit tricky sometimes, and then just write your improper fraction. So your answer to this is an improper fraction here, and then a mixed number in here, okay? Same here. So skip all those other boxes. We don't need those doing. This one here, you are doing the same thing. You're going to show it as an improper fraction, if it is an improper fraction, of course, and then write it as a mixed number, and then you've got your word problem here. Right then, extension task today. So this is the extension task for lots of you. Some of you, if you're maths teachers, you might like to have a go at this as well anyway, but you don't have to. You can move on to the other task. But I'm looking again at multiplying unit fractions by an integer and then non-unit fractions by an integer. So all you have to do is match the calculation to the correct image. So just like we looked at here, this is quite similar. So you just got to draw lines using a ruler. Year 5, please. Thanks. And then Maths Teasers group, you've got some true or false, explain your reasoning. So you've got some equations here, and you have to say whether they are correct. So you've got, are these two equal? Is this less than this? And is this more than this? And then have a little look at this and see if you can work it out. So both these extensions are saved on the post, and they've got the answers on the second page. So make sure that you have a go and look at the answers to check you're correct. Right, good luck today. Have fun, everybody, and I'll see you again tomorrow.